Right, well this particular video is going to be something different. You have to excuse the tumble dry in the background, it's dry and washing, obviously, so I can't unplug it or turn it off. But anyway, and before I get into this video, this is actually the 7th attempt at this video now, because just simply, whenever I tried to do this video, I either got interrupted, or I couldn't get the words into my mouth of what I wanted to say. But anyway, as you can see, we have the Heljan Class 28 parts in the track there, ready to be run. And in this video it's going to be on a loaded test run, and I'm doing this so to see how much it can pull. And it's going to be pulling two trains in this video. It's going to be pulling a van train, which has been made up over there. It's not too long or too short, but it's decent for it. And the brake van is actually behind that PVA glue bottle there, you have to excuse that. And it's also going to be pulling a passenger train as well. Now as you can see, it's had some detailings fitted in. It's got the coupling in the back, which is here. As you can see, I've only fitted the one in because, well, I didn't really want to fit the one in on the other side. I just want to fit the one in. Now it wasn't hard to put in. It was actually simple. All you need to do is make sure the NEM socket is lined up with the coupling, and the job's a good one. And I've also fitted the discs in as well, as you can see. But they're not glued in though. Although I am possibly thinking of gluing the ones in the back. However, and this is a very good idea, I don't know if anyone on YouTube has done this before, but the ones at the front are not going to be glued in. Because every time, what I want to do is, I want to change them over. Like right now it's got the head code for the Condor Express freight, which I put it on because that train over there, it gives you a rough idea of what the train would have been like, because the Condor in real life was vans. But they're not going to be glued in, because every time I want to run on a train, whether it's a passenger or a freight, I can easily just swap these discs over and change them over whenever I want to. Just make sure the holes are big enough for it though, because if I just show you with the Batman Class 20, now this has had the discs fitted on, but I was unable to actually fix them in just temporarily and swapping them over every time I wanted to, because the holes was just simply way too small for these to fit in, so they've had to be glued in, unfortunately. I don't know why some of these train companies make the hole so small they can barely fit in. Thankfully with that one, the holes were big enough for these to be fitted in. They weren't too big or too small, but they were just right, and so I can now change them over whenever I want to. With this one, I can't. So it's a little bit of a disappointing, but oh well, never mind. We can't be the choosers. And before I run, I just want to say, according to the manual that was with this locomotive, it has been tested and is able to pull 15 coaches. I don't know if it was this actual one I've got right now, but I'm not going to put 15 coaches on it. I'm just going to simply put 4 coaches on. It's still a load, so that's not really too much of a problem. But anyway, enough of me talking, let's see her in action. Okay, take it away. Well, she seems to have coped really well. No major problems, no derailing, nothing. She runs so smooth. And yes, it is actually nighttime outside, I apologise for that. But I can't do much about that. However, I just want to point out a couple of things before I end the video. Right, the first notice, you can see part of it here. There was a detailing part on the model that actually had to be cut off with a pair of pliers, which the pliers are here. And the reason for that is because when going round bends, what happened was, it was this part here, as you can see. If I can just zoom in, see that part there? That one there, my finger's pointing to. That had to be cut off on this side here. And the reason for that is because there wasn't enough turn in the bogie. And so every time it went around corners, it would derail the wagons it was pulling. And so I think you'll find it in a brief clip that the wagons do derail when they go through that tunnel over there. And so it had to be cut off. This was the only part that had to be cut off. Well, at least on mine anyway. And, well, I do believe other people have had this problem as well. Because they've kindly fitted them on, you see. And so, in order to pull things, using these couplings, you're going to have to cut that off. But with mine, I only had to cut that part of detailing off. So I'm just going to point that out to those of you that are thinking of getting this, that you will have to cut that bit of detailing off. There's a bit of sawdust on the tracks then. But that's not too much of a major problem, and it doesn't stop this locomotive from getting 10 out of 10. Because on the back there, you probably won't notice it much anyway with the things it's pulling. So that's the first note. The second thing is, and I just want to point this out, it's these little bits of detailings here. Now, they do look very much like horns. Now the question is, why have they been put in with these discs? Simply because there is no holes anywhere on the locomotive for you to put them in. And also, if you look at the CoBo in real life, there are no horns visible sticking out of the locomotive. You know, like, or should I say, above the cab. You don't see the horns above the cab. I mean, maybe they're optional, like maybe you could drill some holes in the roof and fix them in if you wanted to. But what was the point in putting these in? Again, it doesn't stop the locomotive from getting a 10 out of 10. And I didn't put this out in the review, but I'm just mentioning this because I am actually curious. There might not be horns, but they do actually look like horns. So, since there's no holes anywhere, and if they are horns, what purpose are they for? Because it never had the horns in real life visible on the locomotive. Or whatever detailing they are, why put them in if there's no holes anywhere on the locomotive to put on? So that's a little bit of a questionable thing there. But apart from those things, this locomotive is stunning. I've had no problems with the actual locomotive derailing. These discs on here did actually manage to stay in the holes, and as I've said before in the beginning of the video, whenever I'm going to feature this locomotive running, they will be changed to pull different trains, whether it's a freight or a passenger. So the back ones are glued in, the front ones aren't. So that is actually kind of an interesting idea, because you can, well, it's a bit realistic, isn't it? So if any of you are thinking of getting this locomotive, get it, because you won't be disappointed. It pulls very well, it's very strong, no problems with it at all, apart from the fact that detailing I just mentioned here, that's part of it actually, will have to be cut off. Well, at least it had to on mine anyway, but that's not a problem. So that's all I have time for tonight. You will see her in upcoming videos again, trust me. And until then, this is goodbye, and I'll see you soon. Hope you've enjoyed this video.